effective than what our policies are now. And that's what we need to address with the sheriff that's coming in and replacing Mitch Woods is, are they open to progressive, positive approach to marijuana possession? Here a couple of weeks ago, we attended the Jefferson County Democratic Public Forum at the courthouse in Jefferson County, and we wrote down our questions for the sheriff's candidates, and our questions were disregarded and not asked by the moderator, which was, lo and behold, our district attorney, Bob Worthy. He felt that the questions that we asked did not directly pertain to the sheriff's candidates. Our question was pertaining to arresting for petty possession of marijuana is directly related to sheriffs. And our question was, would you be willing to follow Texas Penal Code 1407 on a site release in Jefferson County? And he did not feel that that was pertained to our sheriffs. Like I told you, the county gave me runaround from, oh, it's not my decision, that's a judge, and the judge would say, no, that's not my decision, that's DA. And then the judge would say, oh, you got to get all the judges together in order to do this or that. So it was pretty frustrating getting that from him, but we spoke to the candidates anyway. My wife and I attended, and we went up to him and spoke with the three candidates that were there. And out of the three candidates that were speaking that night at the forum, Zena Stephens had the idea for site release down from the start. Although she was not aware of the Texas Penal Code 1406 that is allowed, which allows officers to site release up to 4 ounces at the officer's discretion. She was telling us about a program that she's currently doing right now in Prairie View, which is an A&M university, that's very similar to site release, although she wasn't aware of it. But if you would please hold your questions until she's done with her presentation, and she'll answer any questions that you may have. So if you would please welcome Zena Stephens, the Jefferson County Sheriff candidate.
Can you guys hear me without the mic?
Yeah.
I don't like to talk with the mic. First of all, thank you guys for allowing me to speak to you. A little bit about myself. I'm homegrown. Grew up here in Beaumont, Texas. You can hear the Southeast Texas slang or twang. I went to elementary school here, graduated from South Park High School, graduated from Memorial University, and then hired on at Beaumont Police Department because I needed a job. I wanted to go to law school. At that time, they were hiring. They would sponsor you to go to the police academy and you'd be on their payroll. So I went to work for Beaumont Police Department, started out on the streets, chasing bad guys, having a great time. I grew up a naive little Catholic girl, and so when I hit the streets, man, it was fun. You didn't have to watch cops anymore, and it was real, and so I enjoyed it. And before I knew it, I started moving up within the Beaumont Police Department. I spent 8 years there, and then I left. Stayed gone for a year. I took a public relations job after I just had my daughter. I took a public relations job at a mental health facility, Spindletop Mental Health. In a year's time, I knew that I made a mistake. The rest of the world didn't have the same sense of humor cops have. So, one of the things that I like about being a police officer is no day was like the day before. I don't like playing and predictable stuff. So I went back to police work. Mitch Woods got elected to sheriff. I went to work for him at the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. I began to promote up. I worked on the streets. I promoted up to major of the warrant division. The last 16 years, I've been there. 11 of those years, I was a deputy chief, number 2. 3 years ago, I left there to become. I got tired of the politics here. I was fighting with Blaine Walker downtown.
Right.
As a female, an African-American female, I wasn't going to do it the way the good old boys wanted me to do it. And so if you say no to some people, they get mad at you. So I decided number 2 was hard. I have no regrets about it. It prepared me to be number 1. working in the sheriff's department as number 2 and seeing some of the things that needed to be done and not having the ability to do them, I decided I'd done everything that I could do at the sheriff's department. So I accepted a position at Prairie View A&M University as the police chief there, and I've been there almost 3 years now. I was there for the Sandra Bland stuff that didn't happen on our campus. It happened right outside of our campus, but I was very involved in that and making sure that the kids didn't riot and that they understood what was really going on. You watch a lot of media stuff about that, and everybody would have you believe that the police officer, while he was young and he made some mistakes, he had nothing to do with her death at the jail. And so I spent a lot of time diffusing and families and the kids on our campus. There's a lot of marijuana use on campus at Prairie View A&M University, like most college campuses.
Sure.
And so what we start doing, because every kid on that campus is not a bad kid, and so I had to come up with some plan, because what we were finding is every day we would be arresting people and taking them to Waller County Jail. And I'm talking about highly educated kids. I saw one of the best marijuana forms ever in a closet, a dorm room closet, where the kid had brought in organic dirt and rocks. And when we got there, it was the greenest plants, some of the best plants I'd ever seen in my life. He was an engineer major. And
hey, smart kid.
He was smart. But under the current law, it would require me to not only arrest him for the amount that he had, ruin him, it would also require me to kick him out of school. And he probably never would get into school again. He was going to lose his scholarship. Found myself encountering this a lot. And so we came up with a plan where we start doing those cases, not filing criminal cases on them, but doing judicial cases with our conduct group at the campus. And they would get assigned, they would get assigned to me for community service. And so one of the plans, again, this kid was a very smart kid, and so one of his assignments was to convince the chief why she should be smoking cannabis. And he did a good job. But it wasn't, for me, it wasn't about that. It was about having the conversation. And if you can change my mind, then I'm about it. But it's about not criminalizing young kids who make decisions and who are smart and putting them in a system where they have no way out.
Woo! That's right.
And so I was kind of excited, to come here and have the conversation with you guys, because one of the reasons I'm running for sheriff is we need to change the way we do things in this community.
That's right.
Not just as it relates to cannabis, but
Everything.
I'm a big change. I'm a black female running for sheriff in Jefferson County. Okay? I spent 27 years here in law enforcement. I'm passionate about the community that I grew up in. But we can't continue. I am so sick of, if you see any of my signs, everybody said, well, Zena, you're running on the Democratic ticket, you can't have red. Yeah, I can. I like red. And so if you see my signs, they're going to be red. I said to everyone, my campaign will be I'm not going to do traditional stuff like everybody else. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. If I win or lose, it'll be my way. That's the way we have to start thinking in this community. I am sick and tired of hearing about the BISD black and white issue. 30 years ago, when I was here in elementary school, they pulled out of a ping pong ball, a lotto, a ping pong ball, to tell me what elementary school I was going to go to. 30 years later, they're still arguing over the same thing. We have to get people, I'm 50 now, it's almost too late for me, but we've got to get progressive people involved in community relations here, in where this community goes. I have a 21-year-old who's in Austin who will not live here because she's sick of it. Most of our kids don't want to live here because they're sick of it. And so we've got to get involved, and that's why I'm running for sheriff. I want to bring a newness, a freshness to Jefferson County, to law enforcement. I'm not going to ever agree with everything everybody says, but at least you'll be able to come and have a conversation with me and try to convince me why we should do something different.
Thank you.
It's not just a constant So, and that's part of my platform. If you look at any of my stuff, you'll see one county, one community. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about black and white. I'm inclusive of everybody. And so I was excited when I got the invitation to come here. I want you guys to ask me any questions, and I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. But that's just a little background on me. Did I work the streets? Yeah. I want you to go out and do research on the other candidates. Ray Beck, the other guy that's running on the Republican side, was my lieutenant at Beaumont PD. I know him, okay? I don't know if you're going to get much difference than what you already have, all right? The other guy, there's couple other guys on the Democratic side, Rod Carroll. He's Jack Brooks' son-in-law. And he's going to tell you that when he meets you, if he talks to you. I told him the other day, I'm distant cousins of Beyonce. That don't mean I can sing. Okay? You know, I would suggest to you guys, at the end of the day, I'm going to be good. I've got a great job at Purdue. But I think it's important for you to do research and don't elect another superficial, fake candidate for your office. That's why this community is in the state that it is in. Okay? We keep electing people who are superficial, and you know, it's about ambition, and it's about, you know, where I go next. That's what it's about. And so you need somebody, whether it's me, whoever, you need to make sure that somebody promises you that their door is going to be open to have a conversation with you. And before stuff goes bad, you ought to be able to come to my office or any person that you elect and have conversations. It's too late when it's bad.
I need a sign in my business. I need a sign in front of my business for you. So
I got some in my back of my truck right now, so that's easy.
Elected officials work for us, right?
They do, they absolutely do. And I say that all the time. One of the things that I say when I do forums and stuff, I'm donating myself, my time to you guys. The community that nurtured me and made me who I am today. That's what it's about for me. Since this campaign started, it's been crazy. I was called to meet with some very wealthy, rich, white attorneys who wanted me to promise that I wasn't going to turn the sheriff's department black. Then I had some black people. I had some black people meet with me and ask me if I was getting in the race and if I was paid by wealthy white people to knock the other black candidate out. And my answer to anybody who asks those questions, you are part of the problem.
that's right. Hey, yeah, that's right, baby.
You are part of the problem. I'm floored that I would get asked that question in 2016.
That's right.
But that's why our younger generation will not live here. You know, it's not about that for me. It's about, I care about the community. I got friends that look like everybody, from transgender to straight, black, white. It doesn't matter. People are people. Trash comes in all colors. Okay? So if you have any questions for me, please ask them now. I'm willing to answer anything, and that's something I say on all my forums. There's nothing I can't answer.
I'll start it off.
Corey.
Yes, of course, obviously you are more sensible policies. I guess it goes without saying, but I guess I might as well ask. Your position on the sign release in Jefferson County, you would be willing, if elected, to instruct and re-educate your officers?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, you know, and I've done a lot more research on it since we initially talked about a month ago now. Harris County's doing it, parts of Harris County, Travis County, and it's working. I didn't realize Hayes County. But let me tell you how it affects me. Part of my platform is, you know, all these other people are talking about technology and all these things they're going to bring to police departments. That's rhetoric to me. We don't need all that. Well, we need to get back to the basics. Police officers protecting and serving communities. If I don't have police officers tied up on minor misdemeanor marijuana charges for nonviolent offenders, they can be on the streets, riding around, communicating, doing community service, doing the things that I need them to do. And so I'm definitely an advocate of that. It also is backlogging our dockets. Judges who aren't moving cases, and which means it not only does it affect patrol officers, it affects your jail.
That's right.
Because you got people sitting in jail who can't make bond on BS charges, and so the dockets aren't moving.
That's right.
So
That's one thing that Rod Carroll, whenever I questioned him, he was not open to site release outright. You know, like nobody discussed it. He beat around the bush and basically said that he felt that the penalties needed to be lowered. And that was basically it.
well, my thing is, I'm never just going to say no. maybe he wasn't educated about it.
Quite say no, he just beat around the bush and didn't answer the question.
Well, I've seen that a lot in the last few weeks, but that's neither here nor there. My thing is, I think it will help the system. It will definitely lower taxpayer dollars where we can redirect it to something else. Those dollars to something else. I need more people on the streets. And the reason we need more people on the streets, we've gotten away, everybody's talking about technology. You know, we're going to buy cameras, and cameras are only good if you have a policy and enforcement to make officers turn them on. I can buy all the cameras in the world. That's not going to stop a bad cop from doing something bad. Not saying that most of the cops are bad, because they're not. Most cops are good. I think it's important to have policies in place and procedures in place, but I think when you look at larger cities who are already doing site release, we got to do it. I don't understand why we wouldn't do it, but we have to have that conversation. And you cannot, you've got to have somebody willing to sit at the table with you and convince them why it works. They're not going to talk to you. You saw that the other day.
Guys, we can't be smoking in our cars either, though. I mean, there's plenty of cops that would come up to me and talk to me, and we're like, you know what, I'm on your side. But, you know, whenever people are stopped, and I've got a dash camera and I've got a camera sitting on me.
They don't have a choice.
I mean, if there's visible smoke in the car, I mean, you gotta do something about it, you know? And I mean, that only makes sense.
Not necessarily visible.
But let me say this. That's like any other law that we have. And let me say, when you talk about site release, they're not citations. Y'all understand that, right? They're not citations. It's not a traffic stop.
Right.
You still, and that's the only bad thing, because when I looked at stats on those things, you run into people not showing up. A lot of failure to appears, which then turn into warrants. You know.
I'm just saying we can be more responsible people as a group.
Right, and that's going to be on
We cannot be
the
smoking like
end
that
user.
and smoking in the car.
With a combination of site release and license fines, a person that is cited and summoned, you know, from an officer would more likely show up and go ahead and take care of the ticket or the fine if it wasn't so outrageous.
Okay.
Understandably, a lot of people don't have the finances to cover I believe the class B misdemeanor is $750. That's minimum now in Colorado.
Yes.
So they don't have $750 to pay for that $25 bag of weed they have. So therefore, they'll stick out on, they'll try and push the luck as much as possible. But if those fines come down and we are able to work out a payment plan or a site release, or not site release, but a community service or something, I know that's not sheriff, that's more judge. But if we can work out where the judges are working with the sheriff's department on something like that, we can cut down on the amount of people that don't show up.
Right, and I think you can work community, the sheriff would have some input on that. I mean, there are certain charges right now that we have, thefts and others, where sheriffs, once you're in his jurisdiction, you are committed to a jail.
That's right.
Then the sheriff can tell you, we did work for furloughs forever, where we let people go out and do work release or work furloughs, and so the sheriff has some input, as long as the judge agrees, on some of those things. But I think it goes back to what you said. You've got to make people responsible. It's not going to be a give me, because people are already going to be resistant to it, and they're going to be looking for a reason. And so I believe ultimately they're not going to want to lower those fines. We've already, in Judge Wortham's opinion, we're already giving you something. As a district attorney, we're giving you because we didn't lock you up.
Right.
You understand that?
That is what he said.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Would you be more open to, like you said, like site release as far as like concealment? Instead of, you pull someone over and like he said, it's bellowing out of their vehicle, or it's in plain sight, or the officer can smell it.
It's obvious that they're smoking or something, right?
It's apparent, Now that would warrant, to take you in or whatever. But
Oh, absolutely.
But what about the situation like with alcohol?
But that's what I was getting ready to say. It's exactly the same as a DWI or somebody drinking. Because now I'm not concerned about you smoking or you being a cannabis user. I'm concerned about you being impaired and hurting somebody else. And the liability for me, if I cut you loose and you get into a wreck, whether it was induced by that or not, my behind is on the line. Okay? And so the issues are greater than just the use. And so if you're a responsible user, I should know that you're using it.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I joined a
church about 14 years ago and for this tea out of Brazil. And then part of the religion, they use the herb. It's considered sacred, and they use it in their ceremonies. And it's been used for thousands of years by different religions. So what do you think about religious exemption for this herb
Ayahuasca.
that's been used for thousands of years?
I'm fine with
So you have no
exemptions.
problem with using,
No, I have no problem,
you know,
but the law is not written
what's the
as
law?
such.
The
Yeah.
law is clear. It says
It
the
says
Congress
that
shall
you
make
can't.
no law respecting the establishment of religion. That's the law.
I
We
understand.
need to treat it like Native American laws, what we need to do.
I agree.
That type of stuff.
But state law doesn't allow you to do that.
Right.
The state law
That's
doesn't.
what we need to change.
That's the
Does it not?
legislation.
What
I
has
thought
to be
state law
changed?
did.
What has to be changed? The law is the law. The law is Congress should make no law.
No,
I'm
ayahuasca.
not in
that's different
disagreement
than
with
pot.
you. I'm not in disagreement with you.
So-
But state law, first of all, let me tell you this. If you're using it for religious purposes, again, that goes back to the statement I just said. I shouldn't even know it.
Right.
You what?
I should not even know it.
Right, you're not performing religious ceremonies in your car.
You
so
know,
that-
why would I know it?
That's right.
That you're using it?
That's right. That's gonna be happening in your home.
I guess if I go.
And if you tell me, that's fine. But I'm saying, you're not driving, you haven't caused an accident, you're not doing
Oh, I see what
anything.
you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Religious
Yeah.
service in the
Yeah.
car.
What do you think about, talking about, letting people off on these misdemeanor charges and cyber leases? How do you feel about, it seems like we target a lot of minority
Oh, absolutely.
communities. And obviously, $750, that can easily break someone, $100.
That's
For
one
someone
reason.
that's living paycheck to
Yeah.
paycheck.
That's one reason I'm all about the psych release program. 1 in 3 African American males
Right,
are gonna be arrested,
exactly.
okay? The numbers are phenomenal. When you look at how many people are incarcerated, how many minorities, Hispanics, and, disparity, the numbers are, I think 11%. It's just, it's astronomical. And so, we're only targeting certain neighborhoods. Your high-end drug users that are not smoking marijuana and weed, we're not targeting those neighborhoods where those kids are committing serious crimes as well.
And
So-
why aren't we though? I mean, isn't that, because we shouldn't be
You
able
know
to
why?
draw that line between,
Because it's easier for me to go to some areas and make an arrest than in other areas. I'm not gonna have access to some high-end
to try and,
suburban class party where your average cannabis user in a minority community is on the street corner, on a basketball court,
Right.
driving in the car, hanging out.
When
Okay.
Daddy's lawyer pays the sheriff's department,
Well, it's-
stay away from that neighborhood.
But bigger than that, once those kids are arrested, they don't have the ability to hire attorneys,
right?
and so they sit in jail. Plea bargaining in our community, I've watched it, that's why me and a judge got into it. The court-appointed attorney list was all this judge's friends.
No, you see that?
The deals are already made.
It's like backroom deals.
They're already made, but a lot of times, those attorneys who were his friends never even met with the defendants until that day. They go before them, and the deal is already, look, the judge is gonna give you this, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, or this is your fine. And so, again, I tell people, that's why you gotta get involved, guys. If you don't go to jury duty because you think that you don't make a difference, then you don't make a difference. I'm preaching that right now on a college campus on why local politics is so important. Because every decision that's made in the courtroom, and I was there, it's very elitist, and if we don't participate, then the decisions about your life, or your kids' lives, or your friends' lives will be made without any input
It
from you.
inevitably affects you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is, just a summary, what would be your first day as sheriff? What would you?
I got some internal.
Wow, that was a hardcore question, bro.
What kind of wall would you knock down? What kind of?
The first thing that I have to do is there's some internal issues that happen. You can't fix the outside when your own house is dirty. Okay? And I've said that. And I'm not saying implying that people there are dirty, but there are some things that need to be fixed internally. Okay? I don't want officers who work for me who are racist, who are not professional, who, my thing is it's about how we hire people. We need to go through a screening process where people are, I believe a certain level of education is important. You have to have a certain amount of communication skills. Communication is two-way.
Communication skills are actually ridiculously important.
Yeah, it's not just working orders, but it's listening. It's also observation. As a young police officer, I can tell you, I can remember getting a call one time in a minority neighborhood that the kids were out there fighting. We all drive up their police cars and get out, and they're not fighting. It's a bunch of cousins, and they're talking loud, they're giving high five, and it's a cultural difference.
Right there.
A white guy who passed by thought that they were fighting, and they were not. And so it's about educating people about cultural differences. It's about all those things that everybody has gotten away from. Many years ago, when you had street cops, even white street cops who worked in black neighborhoods, they knew those families.
That's right.
One of the problems that you're having now is with technology and social media,
You don't know any of those.
you have two generations of people there who have no communication skills. Cops don't have communication skills because they're the same age. Everybody's on social media. Nobody played outside. When we were kids, I played outside. And we could fight, and we knew we would survive a fight. People now don't believe that they can survive a fight. If you look at what happened in Ferguson with the young man and the officer,
That's right.
no communication skills. And I'll give you a different perspective of that. I've read the whole transcript. But you have an officer there. The kid had robbed a store. The officer had no knowledge of that. He encounters the kid with his friend, and he tells him to get off, get on the sidewalk. Kid doesn't know that officer doesn't know that I robbed the store. The kid's thinking in his mind, there's a cop. That
He knows I robbed the
storekeeper.
store, right?
Right. Young officer calls him over to come in the car, which we never do. Not sitting in the car. The kid
No,
comes,
you get out of there.
exactly. But the kid, which tells me the officer had no idea that the kid had robbed the store and wasn't
That's
threatened
right.
by
He
it.
was just calling him over to
The
talk.
kid comes over there because I think that the kid thinks the guy knows. Okay? It goes bad immediately. The kid starts fighting him. I don't know if y'all are aware that he starts punching him while he's still sitting in the car.
I didn't know that. No,
Okay.
no, that shit didn't hit me, right?
Officer is from that generation where he hadn't probably never been hit before. He says in his statement he felt like the Hulk was beating him up. We got a generation of kids that don't know you can survive a fight.
That's right. And they're police officers.
Pull a gun or some other.
If you look at all the shootings, not just police related, you've got a generation of people who, when they have disagreements, they shoot each other.
Exactly.
We just got rid of the generation. They're all falling out. The generation that knew how to fight and know how to take punches and
But police officers
walk
are
away from it.
you've got a generation of police officers who, when I went to the academy 30 years ago, we had to box in the academy.
That's
They
right.
don't make you do that anymore.
No, that's right.
So,
So would you?
Do you know Thurman Miles?
First off, you would look at the officers that you have and make sure that they're educated and that they're brought up to speed
everybody doesn't have a personality to be a police officer.
on social relations.
That's important to me.
So that would be your first
That would be
out
what,
of the gate.
I've got to go through the police department and see who's got integrity and ethics. That's big for me. And what that means from everybody says that. I've interviewed a lot of people, hired a lot of people. Everybody, that's the first thing they said. I've got integrity. Integrity is what you do when nobody's looking.
Right.
You know, it's not just saying that. It's actually how you perform. Even during this campaign, I've seen people riding around in police cars, putting signs out, and doing. That's not ethical.
Right.
You know, and so that being one of the first things that I do. Look at my own personnel. Because I don't believe in being a hypocrite police. I always tell my young officers, you can't be.
So you'd be willing to cut the good old boy loose that had been there for 20
There's some
years?
people that-
If he wasn't willing to step up to your
There's some people
standards?
who've already said that if I became sheriff, they would quit because they know that's going to happen.
So you wouldn't have to fire them.
All right.
But in your opinion, is it a legitimate law that arrests cancer patients for using this to help them with appetite? Is it legitimate?
No.
It's not. Amen.
The problem is,
Let me tell you something.
there's so many people out there, and I'm not
Not
a
a
person
legitimate
that
law.
needs it for the reason that some of these other people do, but I 100% believe in that, and I have family members that need it for the reason that these other people need it. And they live in Texas right now, but they have to do it legally and illegitimately.
So, I will
And
tell you this.
that's what bothers me, because I'm a local business owner, and I would love to put your sign.
One of the
in
first
front of
things
my
to me
business.
is about compassion. Police officers have a certain amount of discretion. And I would never, I don't tell police officers what they can write tickets for or not. That's their choice. They know that. But I will tell you this, I know police officers who have stopped people for traffic violations and didn't write them a ticket.
Oh,
Okay.
sure. No, and that happens
This
to
is
me
no
all the
different.
time.
This is no
Because I'm
different.
a local business
So,
owner, that does.
so what's the difference in what he just described?
No, that's absolutely right.
Right.
And I love that you see it that way. And you know what, I really, really like, I've been following you before this meeting, and I didn't even know you were coming here tonight.
Well, thank you.
And I really,
Well,
really
what you're
love
gonna
that.
find about me
I
and
love
ask
what you have to
anybody,
say.
I'm real.
No, but I want that from you. I do. I'm a local business owner, and I really appreciate you coming up and standing up and doing this tonight. And I'm willing to, even though I'm even hesitant to support my own group because of my business, I would love to have your support.
Okay. We can make that happen.
Okay?
I thank you. My thing, guys, after March
Probably
1st,
with used cars. I sell used cars.
you know, or November 1st when I become sheriff, I have an open door
I have
policy.
a 5-star business rating.
You know, I plan on having I'm not sure what I'm gonna call it, but a committee of truth. And it's about transparency. It's about having people from the community sit on and look at our use of force. You know,
I liked you
think,
before this, sweetie.
Yeah.
I really like you.
Thanks.
How do you feel about, there's been talk in the media recently about these automatic license plate readers in patrol cars, and how these license plate readers are subsidized by the Vigilant, the company that owns these. They supply these to local police departments, sheriff's offices. But there's also been a large amount of where they target low-income neighborhoods, and not necessarily looking for traffic violations, but just waiting for that automatic license plate reader to ping off and say, there's a warrant for this person, as opposed to just generally protecting the community, not just sitting in their patrol car, monitoring a computer. Because,
My thing is, right now, we got some problems all over this country, and what we need to be focusing on is legitimizing law enforcement. Nobody trusts us. And the only way we're going to fix that is engaging in communities. And I'm not talking about profiling in low-income neighborhoods, because that's not the problem right now. You know what the problem right now is? People think we lie. People think we're shooting kids. I read some stats the other day, like 970-something African-American men have been shot at the hands of law enforcement. We got to fix those problems. That's what we got to fix right now.
So the public image, turning your public image around and letting people know.
Not superficially, though.
Right, and letting people know you have an open door policy to come in.
But it goes back to what you're saying, that everybody, these last two generations are so involved in social media and online, that's the information they're getting, that they see all these negative things about cops, and that's the perspective they take on cops, is they're all bad, and they're not.
But the other part of that, and I'm spending a lot of time educating young people on how to communicate. If you get stopped by a cop and you already think he's dirty, do you think it's smart to sit there and have an argument with him or her? Survive the encounter and go get the ACLU or me or whoever you can to help you. My thing is, you got to survive it. You sit there with your hands on the steering wheel, you do whatever crazy instructions they tell you to do until you can get out there. I also tell them, and I'll tell all of you, don't ride dirty. You know, you got to be clean. You need to have your driver's license, your registration, wear it quick so your encounter can be short. I know for a fact that there's some bad cops out there. There are way more good ones, but if you encounter the bad one, you're not going to change his mind out there.
Can you, right before we close out, because they've got something at 8, could you tell our members and supporters, when you are pulled over by, say, law enforcement, and maybe you do have something in your car because you're transporting it or whatever, there's no smell, there's no obvious reason, but yet the cop says, do you mind if I search your vehicle, do you have any drugs on you? What would be the respectful and professional way to decline that without going, I know my rights, you can't search without, you can't search and seizure without,
There's no respectful way that you're going to tell an officer no without him, and I'm being honest with you, you know what's coming next. No matter how you say no, they're going to start looking for PC, probable cause, to search your car. You know that, right? And I'm being real with you.
Well, my car is full of probable cause, because it's got seat covers, it's got embroidered marijuana leaves on it, and headrest that's got another guy dressed with it on there. I mean, as soon as I get out of the car, they're going to be like,
and they're gonna
You
search
You
you.
smoke.
But that's why I don't care anything in
But,
your car that I
but
can't keep.
that's why I'm saying two things that are important to you. I'm gonna tell you honestly, when if a cop pulls you over, if one of my brothers or sisters pull you over, and you got marijuana leaves all over you, their antennas up, because especially every young rookie, when you get to be a cop at 27 years, we don't care. But you get that rookie that's trying to make a name of himself, for him or herself, they're getting ready to call everybody over there to try to search your car, look for the PC, to get a good arrest. So first thing I would tell you is, again, don't ride dirty. Don't have it with you. Always be polite and tell them you don't want them to search your car, knowing that they're going to search your car.
Make them go through the
Yeah.
process of it. But
Because you have a constitutional right to
Right.
say no. I mean, on a traffic stop, he has to have PC to search a car. And if it's just a traffic stop and there's no reason to search,
now, are marijuana leaves on your seats a couple of times?
no.
Only the smell of.
And he's got to be able to, he or she's got to be able to articulate, why. I will tell you this, y'all know that we carry vacuum cleaners, and they'll try to build, if you've got seeds or anything else, they're going to suck it up to build an arrestable case on you.
Which is another thing. They can arrest you at that point, where your lawyer can come back and go, look, let's take
And I
out
tell
the dirt
people that all the
practice in
time,
there.
yeah. Make sure you understand, because you get arrested, that doesn't equate to a conviction.
Right, right.
So you don't want to be out there fussing and raising hell, because it's not a conviction at that point,
Right.
okay?
Don't make it worse than it already is.
Right. Remain polite, because what they want to do, because they're going to be taken. Most officers are going to be taken. They're going to want to show to the judge that you had a bad attitude, all the above.
Disrespectful in every way,
Disrespectful.
all that.
You're a classic pothead. That's what they're trying to prove that case. And so my suggestion to anyone would be, remain respectful. It's no different than I tell my 21-year-old daughter who lives in Austin, if you get stopped, you need to be respectful, act like your mama raised you, and make that encounter as short as possible.
I guess it's.
Any other questions?